this is Sweetwater335 here, and this is the Making of Pixel Paintballers episode 2. Now in the last episode, I started work on the multiplayer system by creating the client and server classes, as well as implementing ping-pong functionality as a means of basic communication between the two. In this episode, I expand upon this concept in addition to building the main packet framework and creating the connect packet, which will be used to indicate data about a player joining or a player respawning. Now I'll be the first to point out that this video is about 3 times the length of the last one, and it's come out a little slightly later than planned. And the reasoning behind this is because I actually forgot a lot about how the framework actually functions, and it took quite a while for me to actually relearn it and improve of what was already in place. And this can be some of the main challenges I have to face when kind of programming and doing these sort of things, but I don't expect it to take the same effect as it did for this episode in terms of episode 3, considering I'll be using the same framework in order to create some more packets. Now, being 2 weeks in, I would like to address the quite big elephant in the room, per se, which is the coronavirus crisis, the COVID-19 crisis, and how it's been affecting sort of my YouTube productivity and the way I'm planning to move things along. Now, I'm not sure if any of you are aware, but in the UK right now we are under quite a bit of lockdown, so I cannot leave the house unless grabbing essentials or going out for one form of exercise. Now, this obviously means that school's been cancelled for me. Exams are not actually happening this year, so I won't actually be taking my A-levels. However, one of the biggest things that I still have to do is my coursework, and that's something that I've fallen a little bit behind on, so I am actively trying to catch up on that whilst trying to do all of this YouTube as well. So one of the reasons why I haven't been producing as much as I would have hoped to is because the coursework obviously does take quite a bit of priority here, and I do kind of need to get that done as well. So yeah, that's kind of the reasoning as to why things haven't been too noisy in terms of videos for the past week, but I do have some content recorded. I do have some Bed Wars content recorded. I do have some other content which I am trying to record actually, which isn't just Minecraft content anymore, so I am trying to mix it up here and there, but it's just quite hard to do in terms of doing that and doing coursework at the same time. So it's kind of a mix and match depending on what's actually going on and how I'm prioritizing everything. So needless to say, things have been a bit shaky, but don't worry, I am still trying to keep things under control, and hopefully I can return to a good schedule. I can get myself into a really good groove for the rest of the few weeks to come. So now that we've moved past the big elephant in the room, I'd just like to take this opportunity to say stay safe. I hope you're staying well. Please follow your country's governments or what leading bodies sort of guidelines about coronavirus. Please stay safe, please stay up to date, and just take care of yourselves. Take care of yourselves, and I hope that I can bring you as much enjoyment as I possibly can throughout this time. Now, with all things said and done, let's just move right on into the time lapse, and I'll see you at the end of the video.
So we're back in the workspace, 2 days after the original time-lapse no less, but we're back and we're looking good. Now, what I've had to do is create 2 more Python modules over here. We've got the key generator and packet encryptor, and that's because the main reason I was away for the 2 days without having compiled much is because I've actually gone ahead and installed an encryption system on the server. And that's all up and running, I'm happy to say, and in addition to a few more cleanups, the game is actually running a bit smoother as well. So, as you can see, we've got a client running already, but we don't have 1, we have 5. If I go ahead and bring all of these up, like so, let's have a go into the multiplayer systems. You can see that the frames are dropping a tad, but that's only because of the sheer quantity that the computer has to run at the minute. If I go ahead and run multiplayer clients on each one of these, you see it takes a bit of a while. That's just the Jython libraries getting into effect. But now that we're here, we can start kicking into action. So, I'm going to run a PvP server on easy. You can see that we're in the game now. And if we move over to our first client, we can see that we get some information coming from the server and the client. So we can see we get the ping and pong, just like last time, however more data is being sent. You can see we actually send the player's username and we tell it if it's going to be a spectator or not using a 1 or 0. So in this case we can see that we're not a spectator, we're actually spawned in the game. The wave counter is going crazy because I haven't implemented it yet. But yeah, so the ping has been received from the server. The server has said that it's received the ping from this client at the local host on this port. And the client has received the pong response from the server on this port 1331 on localhost. And you can see we get a bit more data being sent with it as well. We get a pong, we get a 1 or a 0, depending on whether our request is successful and whether we can join. If we join, we get the ID of the game mode, we get the ID of the difficulty, and we get the encryption. We get the encryption code over here. And this is the all-important encryption code which is generated by the key generator and will be used in the packet encryptor by the client and the server to communicate their data securely. Now, you can see that after that, the client has sent the server a connect packet and the server has received it. It says it's connecting, does all the work, and then it says it's connected. Now, let's bring in a second client. If I go ahead and just go back down here, if I go to our second client over here and join the game, we can see that we can't currently join, and we got a reason why. It says that the username's already taken. Now, because of the fact that I'm not using the data file down here, the game's currently reverting to its default state, so it brings in the player name and all of these colors. Now, to fix this, we simply just have to go to our customization and deck that out. But you can see over here, down in server info, it has received the ping request. It hasn't gone wrong. It's just that we can't use the same player twice. So, over here in our second console output, we can see that we actually got the Pong response, and it says Pong 0, and that 0 meaning that we can't join, and that's because the username is already taken. Just like the message we got here. So, if we do that, we'll see we got the message again. I've moved over to another client, my bad. There we go. Oh, no, there we not go. There we go. There it is. So, there it is. Let's get the scroll off and go back to our second client over here. And let's just bring him over here and give him a new name, if I can spell correctly, that is. I can't spell correctly, it seems. Player 2, my bad. And let's give him a nice blue color, because all the colors are integrating as well. They're all being sent as well. If we go back to our multiplayer and try and join now, you can see that we're in. We've got player 2 over here. Player is over here because move packets aren't being sent, so the system doesn't know, the server doesn't know that the player's actually moved to this location, therefore it's just put him here. But we can see, we can move over here, and we have 2 players in our game. And we can also see down here that we've gotten that successful packet, and we've gotten a new encryption code. Now, this process repeats itself for our other clients here, so let's just go ahead, sort these out. I'll give him player 3, give him a green, go back and run him, join the game. We can see we got both player 1 and player 2 over there, which is why it flashed red for a second then switched to blue. So we have player 3 over here. I'll just move these over slightly so you can see them a bit better. So here's player 1, player 2, player 3. And let's just sort these ones out quickly. So we have player 4 and player 5. Now for player 4 I'm just going to give him a nice... oh no. Oh yeah, let's give him... let's reset him. Let's give player 4 a nice... let's give him a green username color and give him a pink outline and a yellow fill. An orange fill. Yeah, just customize it how we want. And for player 5, I'll give him just all grey, because why not? And we can see that if we join the game over here, player 1, 2 and 3 are all in that cluster, and player 4 is up and over here. You can also see that we get our new colours spawning as well. So the colours do carry over. All the colours carry over. If we go ahead and put player 5 in the game, we can see that our connection has been refused because the maximum active players has been reached. Only 4 players at one time can play the game. However, that does not stop player 5 from joining. We can see that we can run spectate game, and you can see the rest of the players, but he just can't play the game. Whereas all of these other players can actually go ahead, fire a few paintballs at each other. Player 5 can't. Let's see over here. Run him, run him. No dice from player 5. So, yeah. That's to show us that all of the connect packets are working, all of the data is being transmitted, and if we go over to our console, go over to player 5, we'll just run up over here. We can see that we get a Pong 0, and the reason is because maximum active players have been reached, so that's good. And we can see here we get another Pong response from the server once we changed our status and what we're doing. We can see that we got our encryption code and we got information on what the server is currently, what game mode and what difficulty the server is running at. If we go over to game 1, we can see that oh, I think I'm further up. There we go. If we scroll up a bit here, we can see that we get player 5, 0, and that was when he was trying to spawn as an active player, not a spectator. But when we get as a spectator, we see that this number changes to 1, and the client decides to accept him. The client will put him through, and the server will accept him, saying, okay, yep, all good, all good. And the client has said that the player has joined the game. So, everything is working. Now, the next thing that I will be doing is getting a few more of the packets working. I hope to get the disconnect and the aim packets working. The disconnect packet will simply be if I press disconnect here, it would actually make player leave from here rather than just having him exist in a void kind of area. And as he was the server host himself, all of these clients here would actually disconnect as well and move back to the multiplayer menu. And if we were to go ahead, just run another server, let's say hard, bring him over here. Oh, I've got him doing some funky stuff. Let's have player 2 spectate, player 3 join. You see he's over there. Like I said, a bit of the positioning is weird because the client has sort of carried over some data from the last instance. That won't happen in the original game. Let's get player 4 and player 5 in here. You can see now that player 5 is in because player 2 is in spectator. But what we do see is that so yeah, we do see that all of our clients are running. However, say if player 5 was to leave, instead of him actually going here and seeing him all around the place over here, he would actually go ahead and properly leave the game and you wouldn't just see him hanging around. And in addition to that, I'll be doing some move packets as well, so that way when this client moves, all of these clients will actually be able to see the movement happen as well. So yeah, that's it for this progress update. I hope you have enjoyed this video. If you have liked this video, please be sure to let me know by leaving a like down below. And if you want to see more content from me, please go ahead and subscribe. I do plan to get this whole system finished up within the next couple of months or so. It's actually been really fun doing the multiplayer aspect by itself actually, but sometimes it is a little bit daunting. So I do appreciate all the support I get from watching these kind of videos and telling me just, you know, what you think of the game and what else I could possibly do to make it better. So that's going to be it from me. That's Sweetboy 735 out. I'll catch you all later.